Well, good morning, as we're sitting here at LTV on this beautiful morning, Thursday morning, July 18th, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1980. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and of course the likes of you that make it your business to enhance and fortify this concept called public access, and rightfully so, as we're um, engaging in the. Maybe I should put this on just to kind of look more as if I know what I'm doing. There we go. This is good, and this is good. Yeah, I think that's working well. And let's see, who is it that is trying to reach me, which I don't recognize, which I don't think I'm going to answer. But uh, yeah, okay, that's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be. Um, to find ourselves in the actuality of the written word, in the actuality of the the note and the key, in the actuality of the brush stroke, in the actuality of composition, structure, color, proximity, all of the wonderful aspect of creativity that we find ourselves engaged in that actually is helping and hoping and uh, uh, how should I put it? Maybe uh, 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 managing to benefit while the process of trying to make sense is actually ongoing. I thought to myself more than once that that it's all about me, personally trying hard and trying harder, trying hard, trying harder, trying harder, trying hard, you know. And if it doesn't work, it's all about like I didn't try it, I didn't try hard enough. While the process itself actually needs a little less than I thought it does, and a part of it, and a major part of it, is all about really kind of letting it be. It's just with kids, with my kids, with your kids, probably you know this. I mean, Picasso himself said uh, that all kids are just great artists. The question is, can they maintain it? Can they keep it when they grow up? Because the process of maturing and growing up robs the kids from there for some reason. What I liked about the declaration of Picasso is that he didn't claim to know the reason of why. He just knew that you grow up, you lose that kind of natural given of being a great artist, being a good artist, and everything else. So I'm the kind of a person that would learn from it by implementing solutions before I feel like it's time for solutions. Before I feel like, okay, this is going to be too late. In 2 seconds from now, if I'm not going to do something about it now, it's going to fade into the thin air, and will be nowhere to be found. And we don't like this scenario. We like the fact that we can do something about something and act um, preemptively, and especially with our kids, giving them a chance. I had a long conversation with my kids, and told them the best way to avoid and to bypass bullyism. So that means, there's always going to be someone there that's going to try you and going to test you and going to either hit you or either embarrass you or either whatever it is, insult you. And there's a simple solution to all this where all the bullies in the world will just clear away from you. If you engage yourself in art, and there is a way, and I have the way, and I have the solutions for them, that when they display power through art and self assurance and self demeanor built sturdily vis a vis engaging in creating art. No bullyism can prevail. If someone will try to bully you, the more he or she will try to bully you, um, they will find themselves more ridiculed by the display of power that you yourself will be radiating. Kids can understand that. I find that adults cannot relate to what is the meaning behind or the effectiveness or um, the becoming, the ongoingly becoming uh, scenarios that ferment and happen ongoingly when it comes to uh, that which art does for us as we decide to engage and as we decide to cope with our desires, and that of course will produce the master music piece and the ultimate wonderful piece of art that will affect everyone in the way that it should affect, because it will be in a clear reflection of who we are and especially who we were in those moments. The level of honesty, the internal, emotional, and spiritual cleanliness. And I found out that adults have a much of a harder time to be able to relate to these concepts and what they really mean and how effective they can be. And the beauty of it is that you don't have, once you own it, you don't have to activate it every time you wanted to make a difference for your own sake, on your behalf. And I'm the proof for it that, that I can talk about these things on and off for thousands and thousands of monologues and shows, and still there's a room to maybe guess that I said something new, or I suggested something new, or I pointed out something different. And therefore, um, the journey is clear when it comes to well, okay, I think I'm in. I think I wondered enough. I think I second guessed enough. I think I doubted enough. And then you kind of take it as this is the process of adaptation, and you want to excel, because excelling means that you give something back, and the in the face of the obvious neediness of us, of people out there. And for the most part, we don't even try and hide it. It's just the way it is. Um, a process of indirect glorifying of our actions. And any which way you look at it, once you're kind of active in that sense, there's a guarantee of effective um, unfoldings and becoming in the face of that kind of, okay, we with all the goodwill in the world, we still have to find a way to do it right. And public access with the stage that we have here, the way it is, and the way it's all about, is really speaking in the name of the fact that every step that we take and every word we utter is proving to us clearly that we are A, on the right path, and B, dealing with the subject matter that is the right one to deal with. And C is that we don't waste our time, because we that level of effectiveness is too evident and too obvious not to be benefiting for it and not to be prevailing. After all, it's time, and time is precious, and what we do is really um, um, is actually, and I think I have to do that because I have to do that. Let's see. Okay, this is good. this is good. It's just life outside doesn't wait for us, and we need to. Okay, I don't want to hear this nonsense here now. Okay. Yes. Um, I think once, yeah, and I have like an incredible amount of doubt when it comes to artificial intelligence, even though I see the ability to benefit from having that in one's life. And of course, it's ridiculous and stupid not to use it because it's just going to work against you at some point if you will refuse to understand the benefits that one can achieve. When you have Google and Siri and all that, and suddenly artificial intelligence shows up, you cannot just say, "Okay, this is like ridiculous," because okay, so I can Google everything, get the answers. What's the difference? I can say, Google, help me. I need a solution. I need information. I need. So what's the difference? Anyway, then I realized it's all about asking not only the right questions, but asking the questions right. So you want to give the machine the benefit of the doubt that it has a friend in the shape of you yourself. And and for some reason I have a feeling that when you are settling with the machine, and the machine that is so powerful because it's fed with so much information, that it it's a lost battle before it even begins. I mean, there's no way that we can match that enormous capability of artificial intelligence. But on the same token, by being ourselves, we rule the moment, we rule time, we rule place, we rule scenario. And the machine, with all its powerful scenario that is all about stored information, that is like incredibly um, out of this world, incredibly untouchable, unreachable, incredibly alien to us. Still, the personal thought with some intimate sensations is something that the machine cannot relate to. And even if it can relate to it, can relate to only kind of, technically speaking, it has no feel, no soul, no sense, no touch, no warmth, and no aspect of humanity other than the fact that they can reside within the machine. They can put a face that will puzzle you because, by way of information, it's just going to floor you, and it's going to devastate you. And while you're devastated, the machine will take its advantages and anchor and seed and make its presence permanent. So when we go to figure out that which is evidently available to us at our disposal, that is just available at our disposal, it's ours. That means we own it. That means someone is thinking about something genius and out of this world and powerful and capable, and then they hand it to us. And then we say, okay, I'm going to declare ownership first and foremost. And then I will take it a few steps forward towards the configurations that will cement my presence to such an extent that the artificial intelligence will have to get its own permission before it can proceed every time all over again. And there's kind of this. this strangeness is intriguing, and this unplanned scenario, unplanned unfolding scenario is um, um, intriguing indeed again. And we can think in a way that will create the dominance that that kind of rigidness of ultimate knowledge has no say in or no access, and it needs that permission all over again every time, and not always that it gets the permission, so it's on hold for longer than one would think. Yesterday I tidied up my immediate space where I like to see that that which seems to be out of control is actually acting and behaving very normally, and reasonably uh, coherently, and it does make sense in the midst of all this chaos. It's not like you come to a room and everything is really completely like a complete mayhem, but it's not so much so because in the face of that mess, you know where everything is. Uh, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of mayhem that will derail you, that will make you feel shaky and make you feel like maybe you it's not a good idea to find yourself in this scenario. Maybe it's a better solution to find yourself re-engaging, rebooting, and escaping, only so you can come back and maybe find the stronger version of yourself there, which is kind of wishful thinking, which you will probably quickly realize it faster than you think, but end up doing exactly nothing about it. So it will be in an ongoing situation where you're just going to go on, and that solution will never come to fruition unless you turn lucky, and then that particular day you are going to do something. You are doing something about it, so to speak. Um, the configuration of the poem that you started to write, and that you were saying to yourself, she was there with all her might, and who was she? Not to be figured out, because the stage was not holding that emotional human weight, because it couldn't come to terms with the obviousness of a being a human being, and and being and being deserved of that privilege is giving to you as a human being. Humanity, sensations, compassion, warmth, gestures, accommodations, flexibility, patience. What does the machine know about patience? It was told that these configurations are picking up steam as they pick up humility, and instantly adapting and succumbing and storing and cementing even that which is premature, and therefore this kind of disadvantage is becoming permanent. But it's the kind of disadvantage that is tolerable for the machine. I speak now. The machine can tolerate that because it can say, okay, this is a small price to pay, but it doesn't quite know whether this is the end of it or this is just the tip of the iceberg, and that um, you were that the machine was lured by human beings only so it can make that first initial payment, and by doing so, the admission. This is uh, an admission of weakness, an admission of let's see what's going on. Why is it like this? One. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, that's good. That's good. One, one, one. I don't know what's going on. Hello. Wait. Hello. What happened? What happened here? Let's see. Hello. 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 Okay. One. One. What's going on? One. 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 Okay. One. 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 Okay, that's better. That's better. Okay, I think we're back now. Um, yeah, I don't know. This a moody scenario here. I guess it's the subject matter that caused the machine to freak out on me suddenly. Um, so yeah. Why is it like this? Hello, 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 hello. Why is it like this? I want to know. Hello, one, one, one. Oh boy. I don't know what to say or not to say here. Hello? 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 Okay. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's what it is. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay, I know what it is. I fixed it, even though sorry about the moments of silence and confusion here. But anyway, uh it's funny that you know what, let me just check one thing here. Yeah. Okay, we're good. Moody machines. Uh um yes, that's what I will do. Um, I just have to do this. Okay, okay. I just have to do this. I'm sorry about that, but I have to do this. Uh huh. Uh huh. Hmm. Okay, that's better. So yeah. So I had the example, and by the way, I I wanted to reiterate. Uh, let's see that we can. The yeah, I'm still, I cannot get over this, you know, the power, you know, having two, three, or 400 gigabyte, that is just dumbfounding. Gee, I still uh I cannot get over it. But getting over it or not, I a part of yes. Uh, so this is just like how you create meaning by not by mistake. I shouldn't say by mistake. By just that just because you're willing to embark and to say, okay, you know what, I want to be able to prove to myself, of course, since because once I was like talking, reflecting, verbalizing, but I couldn't stop for a second to say, okay, but here's the example. Here's what I mean. Here's something that I'm going to do right now, and then that you will understand everything that I was trying to share with you and to make it like real in the sense of, okay, this is how it feels on the surface. So it's pretty much like a um, all the things that we're not aware of and all the things that we don't know much about that brings the dots of the unknown together to closer to the source that we still don't know much about anyway to begin with. um, and it's all about like that flat surface, even though the inner feeling is like vortex like. Still the operation is on a flat surface, it's kind of more like a balance. um, it's more like the accuracy of that straightness, that without it we feel that the vortex is actually robbing us from the decency of our equilibrium, um, uh, and that it's so essential, so much so that it's really going nowhere unless you address that issue, period. There's just not two ways about it. um, um, And when you prevail to do that, there's like a sense that you can really literally hug the entire riverbank. There's like all this flow of water, all this mightiness, that all this power that can consume you instantly is becoming something that you own, and and you're doing it with style, which is actually something that's um, you bring it upon the eloquence of your action. This is the best way that I can describe it. And um, with which, breathing is really a factor, is a big factor. It's like one unit chief, one chief that kind of owns that one unit. That's everything is instead of being dragging as we used to, it's all actually happening with a smile. Meaningful, complex, sophisticated things taking place with a smile. Um, and of course the obviousness of obligation that remains clear, even that which is heart turning, big deal, but still it's achievable, it's normal, it's regular, but it doesn't take away from its level of complexity. And that kind of extra um, didn't really, it didn't have to happen. It didn't had to happen, but I mean, but it just didn't have to. It was it was just a display of goodwill by a source, and that is, to say the least, much more powerful than we are in terms of understanding placement and location. And then you find yourself grinding through the numbers, and the numbers are not something that you will take lightly, or and not think much about their existence and the way that they gather themselves and organize themselves to an acceptable composition, that you say, yeah, I know enough about composition to tell you that this is something good is happening here, and you go along for the ride, and there's always a sensation that the final count is approaching, or maybe it's already happened and it's behind you. But that kind of awareness is a good one. It's a healthy one because it keeps us on our toes, um, and that so it becomes slow motion. The final count is actually the biggest indication of the final count is that slow motion kicks in, and when that happens, uh, you have to reach out because you have to get closer, and that closeness is really what's going to guarantee um, guarantee that your hour is coming, and it's going to happen. So I don't know, maybe examine again how ready you are, because you might be surprised, you might be not ready, even though all you do is getting ready. And but maybe you realize that your preparations were all wrong. You didn't do it as you were supposed to. You got your eye off the ball, and you found out that you all this time were up to no good, spent for nothing. Nothing is really actually the formation is not taking place as it should. But in this case, you happen to find yourself letting go with a lot of grace, with so much grace, and actually, that's very, very crucial in many ways, because uh, it's about it's increasing in value, and the hope is kicking in like nobody's business. Um, uh, um, the kind of the image of the house on the hill, like that kind of, um, um, and there's grieving that kicks in, of course, um, and you feel like you're getting closer and closer to the pain, and that pain is real. You cannot deny it. I mean, yeah, you'll find yourself playing games with it, before you know better not to, until you do, and then you stop. But you're getting closer; it gets you closer to the pain, or even an attempt to challenge it with your own bare hands, which is not a good idea because you're going to lose. You cannot go against that machine, almighty machine. You can, but you're not ready, and you cannot be emotional or instinctive in your decision to approach and to engage and to combat and to challenge. You're going to lose. You're not going to prevail. And with bare hands, all the idea of your veins will pop. I mean, this is going to be a real evident challenge. But you're up for the task. But you're also becoming more and more up for the knowledge that you're going to fail, or maybe I should say you're not going to prevail, and you kind of know that already. I mean, when I say you, I really mean I. And uh, so, what place do they take in that kind of blood pumping scenario? Yeah, because it's pumping life, obviously. And when it doesn't do that, it denies life from taking place. So this is trouble. This is trouble that when you know better, and the sooner you know better, the sooner you kind of become immune to things that unnecessarily will derail you and will end up the journey for you prematurely faster than you think. And there's just no way back. There's no bouncing back from this. So in that you realize also you pay the dear price, and then you kind of know what kind of decisions to make or not, what avenues to choose to go to or not. Uh, and you realize quickly enough, a moment ago you weren't there. A moment ago you were not there. Um, um, but when you come back, it's kind of extending the justification of uh, that you can breathe with resolve, and that's real. Actually, it's really. If I know it's a little confusing, but it's real. Suddenly you can breathe, but also with resolve, so you can actually think in the process of managing to do or knowing what to do, what is the right thing to do, and managing to do it on top of it. And this justification uh, uh, and when finally the race is slowing down to to become like a pleasant, fast walk, for lack of a better description. And when finally that is taking place, um, that everything starts shining with cause. That purpose is actually, this is your time to triumph, and you don't have to do much about it because you realize that eventually it is all about the investment, how much time and effort and goodwill and sensations of resolve you put into it, and therefore this is coming to you. There's no second guessing here. There's no maybe or almost no doubts. You're getting what you deserve, and usually it will be the good stuff, for that sake. Um, and the um, that new conviction is actually, to your surprise, very familiar, and there's a good reason why it's familiar. And then obviously now it's the era of now it's the era of benefiting, and that conviction is clear. Uh, that it's kind of guaranteeing us that there will never be a scenario of no holds bar. There's always going to be somewhat of a control where you can actually uh, put a hold on the entire system, preventing from proceeding forward. And then when everything is frozen, you can still speak your word. So that's your strength. That's your superior moments that actually spells infinity to infinity itself. So there's a very weird factors of compatibility that is actually, I can talk about it for hours. And this is becoming the ultimate chore. Yeah, so as much as you resent chores because it's your wife that's telling you, hey, yeah, take the garbage, do this, go do shopping, whatever. But this is the ultimate chore, which is the um, gathering, like it's like gathering in the place of holy. I think that's a good description, and maybe that's the something that I can only understand. And maybe we should leave it at that. Gathering in the place of holy um, uh, is shining. Actually, it's in the past already shone, all the way down the slope of that which is merry. The happiness of the fact that it's downhill and you don't have to pedal. You're going down, baby, and you're going faster and faster. And you're merry, and it's all merry. It's all happy. I mean, you really, because it's happiness with a song, actually. And uh, and of course, the faster it goes, the more it gains that heat. The heat of it's like the heart by now is transparent, but yet it keeps uh, it keeps us all alive. That's without a doubt. And um, so now is the period where you start gathering courage, and you gather courage. Not the you stand out when that happens, and um, um, uh, it's like wholesomeness and availability that's kind of mixed together to make things easier because you're in for the long run. That's for sure. And your moment arrives, and because there's so much was involved in not being sure, not in knowing exactly what and how much and to what extent, but your moment arrives, and it's exhaling to to maybe to cleanse the moments that were left behind. I mean, it's left behind, but it doesn't mean that it should be attended to and cleaned up and tidied up and placed right. This is all complex issues, but yet when you get used to it, it becomes second nature. And so you're imagining that descent in this slippery slope, and um, beginning to start to hate the notion of self-inflicting pain, and that's the pain that I was talking about it. And so the last time did you have a recollection of reaching out to touch something? It was, you touched the head. It was the head because it was the thinking, active head. In the darkness, in the silence, and you kind of meet. That's called what I call meeting halfway, even though it's not clear what we really mean. Uh, and then there's the whisper of God in your heart. It's something you cannot deny or wonder whether it did happen or not. And if it did happen, wondering if it's what you think that actually did happen or not. It's clear, lovely, after all this dear heavy duty price that you pay by way of putting the hours, putting the time, putting the goodwill, expressing patience, and that decency involved in all of that. Wonderful things in that sense. So in the then the echo lingers. That's also a very good factor. And the- the granting wishes long after the uh, long after you got your reply, you still uh, deserved enough to have your wishes continue to be granted. And uh, and then you realize the change is in your own light, not just light that just shines over everything and creates that sensation of light and heat and whatnot. It's more like this is your own light. This is your own light, lost in the scenario of your in the vortex of your own creation, a kind of thing, and erasing um, your name from the chart of generations past. That sounds a little scary, but it shouldn't scare you because it's actually a recognition, an acknowledgement of your place in that heritage. Wonderful, actually, things that again I can talk about it uh, for hours now. The in This is the process of scrubbing. Now you're not cleaning; you're actually scrubbing. You're scrubbing uh, that which surround the surrounding of your faith, and then you in that vicinity actually on your knees scrubbing, and that's a great gesture to understand that this is the process of erection and construction and full level of clarity in the midst of engaging in that. And the uh, So there's some surprises because there's an intervention, and the intervention is actually on your own behalf. It's just that you're not aware while it's happening. You think it's a third entity that's actually interfering, but the intervention is actually working to your own benefit and is back from the brink. Um, So now you stand amongst that which you thought is a really great time and place to be. Great time and place to be together. And the moment has come. You're not so sure that you happy enough or accordingly happy. While that takes place, only after the fact you would realize it, and then when it happens again and again, you definitely, your psyche is ready for it. So those moments are not going to repeat themselves, and that's always good news. So the reminder that paying attention pays dividends is actually a great thing, and I experienced it personally myself very vividly. And even as uh, even when our lips are kind of tightening against the cold, which is something normal, we still kind of keeping that attention or keep paying attention. So we want to get those dividends, that's for sure. And uh, this is what I call whispers of the distant winds. I love that because that's an accurate description. Um, uh, um, Carries your dreams. I call it the dreams of yore, YORE. Don't ask me why. I don't even understand it myself, but I actually wrote it. So that kind of it's a it's a playful resolve, but nevertheless resolve, very very real, and it's elevating. Um, the fleeting encounters to moments of clarity. And that's actually the ultimate place and the ultimate kind of conclusion scenario that can take place on the behalf of your attempt, being the person that you are and that you know that you are, that actually you end up more and more uh, waiting for that predictable things to take place and welcoming it with love and enjoying it and actually realizing this is the right thing to happen. So you don't spend too much time wondering what's going on here. You understand what's going on because you're responsible to all these chain reactions and whatnot and so much because you're the one that's actually in the center of that heat of that demanding reality. And as a conclusion, I have about 5 minutes. I just want to remind you that we're sitting here on Thursday morning, July 18th, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access. And then, of course, the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1980. Don't forget about our wonderful group art exhibitions here at LTV and all the wonderful programming here. I mean, there are more creative activities here than you would ever fathom or wish to believe that it's possible. It's wonderful here. Check us out, ltveh.org. You can get a lot of information there. Let me just finish by giving you that little taste of something that's um, about grassroots and about how come and how much we don't benefit from grassroots, that actually so much work was put into it either by you or by those that you're aware that we're doing it, and therefore you are allowed to benefit from it, but for some reason you're not even near that uh, th- because they boil with that intensity when it comes in encountering uh, that kind of the touch of cleanliness, and all the things that it's all sudden and full, always full. It doesn't need anything from you. The grassroots comes always full and operates always fully satisfied. And these are, uh, and it's like a blast of repenting and so many other things that you wouldn't even understand why it's taking place, but it's taking place because the source itself is already accomplished. So it doesn't need any conditions or anything to be created and done in the face of because you need to be liked by the source and therefore it makes sense that you will take part in the unfoldings of well, that which makes sense that it will happen the way it will happen because you already know the math. And if you, for some reason, facing that reality or that situation, not knowing exactly what's happening, is maybe because you're not paying attention or you didn't do your homework. There's no way around it. So it's always embarking on that journey, and that journey is ongoingly. It's not more or less and changing in the level of intensity up and down. It's and none of that. It's it, it's how should I put it? It's something that we need to go through and then cause those senses to be awakened, to and this kind of uh, ending up in that situation, the I guess the deprivation period, where it pushes you further and further away into the distance, and and I call it the teeth grinding scenario, where it uh, uh, let's just say hi to Steve. Hey, Steve.
Hello?
Yeah, you just caught me finishing the job. You got 5 minutes to chat with me on the air if you want.
Oh, you sound like you have a cold.
No, I don't have a cold.
Oh,
I'm just
well,
I'm just upset that you're calling me, so it affects my voice.
you're
Sorry.
choking on your own words.
Yeah, you called. Your timing is great, actually. And what am I doing now? You see, I'm completely confused. It's your fault.
You're ending the show. You have no idea what to do. You know how to thank Fraser. I'm just reminding of your routine so that
Yes.
you don't just drift off and and you don't even turn off the TV so people have to watch you all day.
Yeah, I know. Can you believe it? But no, I'm happy you called. And let me see. Actually, we have 3 minutes. So let's
Well,
see.
in those 3 minutes, I hope you had a very good show. I don't know if you had a guest or not.
I interviewed myself as usual.
Uh, ah, so I missed your diatribe on the world events and how Haim is creating some new work. So basically,
Yeah, so
we
something.
summed
Yeah,
that up,
interpreting that which was already interpreted. So um,
and has been interpreted before and will be interpreted again
again tomorrow. Yes, exactly.
with variables,
Okay,
multiple
how about
variants.
coffee at Levine? I have 20 minutes
That's fine. When?
now. Leave the house
Okay,
now because I'm
I will.
done, and I'm gonna say, actually, Steve Ron with us, join us for a minute. We're gonna be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday, and as much as we're here this Thursday morning, July 18th, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, and thanks for your patience. I appreciate it because I really do know what kind of resilience and thick skin you need to have, and so we're going to conclude with that. And so, Steve, I will see you in about 10 minutes. Okay?
Okay, very good. Thank
Okay. Take
you.
care. Bye bye. Have a good day. Have a good morning.
Bye bye. Bye bye.